looking so good.
I am obsessed.
Isn't it crazy how
Oh my,
different?
oh
What
my
did you
God.
do?
Well, my mom has this like shark thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like blow dryer
Yep. That's what
and
I've heard.
yeah, and then it has like a smoothing thing in it too. Yeah, so I was like, you know what? I think it's good that my hair doesn't look like this all the time because it keeps me humble.
Oh my gosh. Your other hair is incredible too,
Your your
actually.
Thank
your
you.
God-given hair is so beautiful, and also this is a new fun look. How about that?
Yes, it is so fun. It's so fun. So I was like trying to film a bunch of reels today so I could like,
Yeah.
but
Make
then
the
I'm
100%.
most of the hair.
yeah, the hair. I know someone said I posted something yesterday and someone was like, she was like, it was a jump scare. Like I was like, I didn't know it was you in my thing.
I love it. Three, two. You guys remember this from like videography class?
Yeah.
Um, or just acting and thespianness in general. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Get Mom Ready podcast. Y'all, I listen to Heather McMahon so much that don't put it past me to be like, you're listening to another episode of the Absolutely Not podcast. That is not this podcast, but do listen to hers as well. This is the Get Mom Ready podcast. You're on today with me, Meredith, and Hannah and Anna. Holly, we love you and miss you. Just to recap, to summarize for those of you new, we're just four moms in various but similar stages of motherhood. And these conversations are, hopefully, we find them to be relatable, approachable, humorous at times, commiserating at other times. It is really kind of normalizing the pressures of modern motherhood. So if you're new around here, that's the soundbite. That's what you're in for. And we're just figuring it all out together. So today, Anna is bringing a specific topic. I'm just gonna let her take it away. She just told me what it was, but no, you're gonna break it down for us, sister. And Hannah and I are going to listen and process that with you, Anna. So tell us where we're headed today.
So I've gathered you here today because I feel like I need coaching. And who better to go to than you guys? So basically, I want y'all to break down super practically for me how to find my values in motherhood so that I can start living them out. Because I have been just like flying by the seat of my pants lately. I just feel swept away by every single thing that happens around me. And I have great systems. I'm a great planner. Like
Yeah.
I should be able to kind of have systems to where most of my day feels semi-manageable when there's not crazy interruptions and things like that. But I have found that every day feels kind of like I'm just barely getting by in every moment. Like it feels like a scramble. And so last night I was thinking, okay, we've talked about this on Get Mom Ready. Hannah and Meredith, y'all have both talked about living out of your principles or your values. And basically, what I remember y'all saying is pick the things that really matter to you and then forget all of the other noise. So and that comes down to parenting, that comes down to how I live my life day in, day out. But if we were, I guess, to specifically focus on parenting for a minute, I was trying to think, I was like, well, I want Emmy to grow up to be this way and this way and this way. And I was like, but are those my values? And then I was kind of thinking, there's so many things that I want her to grow up to be, or practices that I want to, have as a mother. How do I even begin to narrow it down? It feels like everything is important. So that's kind of where my head's been. And I can't do the exercise of living out of my principles or my values because I don't know how to find them. So I thought it would be helpful for y'all to kind of coach me through that.
I love it. I have a couple of questions really quickly. And that is, and Hannah, I'm curious kind of what you heard too, but I'm hearing two things. One is there's like a practical thing happening where generally speaking, you've got great systems. And then what I heard anyway is that as of late, it's starting to feel like something got flipped on the wrong axis and is like spinning a little bit out of control. And you're like, wait, what's going on? I have good systems, darn it. Then we've got that happening over here. But then we also have this more like, I don't know, emotional, deeper conversation that you're having with yourself internally of like, okay, systematically speaking, something's gone awry over here, or it's feeling a little too flustered and harried. But also, what does that mean about my values and what do I want for myself? And so I'm hearing two separate things, but they're of course connected. And I would be curious at some point in the conversation for you to give us like a specific example, even if it's small, for us to start to kind of peel that apart. Is that a fair assessment of what you just shared, Anna?
Yes. Yeah, that's so true. They do feel a little bit different now that I'm thinking about it. And I think the chaos that I'm feeling, my way of trying to systemize it was,
Mm.
okay, what are my principles? Maybe that'll fix it. If I can figure out
Oh,
what are my values, then maybe I can stop and start doing things or make a new system that fits who I want to be and where I want my life to go. So I guess I was thinking that was the solution,
mm.
but I don't know.
Oh, that's telling.
I think it
Hannah.
could be in a way, right? Because it's like the more you live in a place of like decisions feel easier because you have a North Star, I do feel like that will be a solution for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think,
Yeah.
okay, cool, you have a cleaning routine and, routine for bath time and bedtime at night. That's not going to solve what I think might be what you're dealing with. So I think kind of to echo what Meredith said, what would be a big like pain point or trigger point where you're kind of like, I'm flying at the seat of my pants? Like, is it, discipline? Is it scheduling for the day? Is she an like extracurricular activities or not? Or what school or what? What do you feel like is the
Yeah.
big thing that feels like the chaos
Mm.
that, what is it? Like the ball's rolling down the hill and you can't get it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's two things that come to the top of mind, and we can go with either one. One of them is everything about meals, picking
Mm.
them, planning them, getting the groceries, cooking them, cleaning up, all of it, everything related to
Mm.
that. And discipline, which I feel like I'm inching towards something like a system there because I found something that I really liked. So I feel like that has been helping a lot.
Yeah.
But those are the two that come to mind.
Okay, can I ask a quick question? Sorry, Hannah. Hannah's doing this, and I go, "What? Can I ask a quick question?"
No, say it. Say you can ask your question while I take
When
mine.
I mean, systematically, I can appreciate that those are like big things that would take up mental energy of like, what do I need to do differently so that this doesn't feel so insert blank here, overwhelming, unsustainable, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
But I'm curious about the thread that connects you then to your value. Like at what point in that conversation, like let's pretend it's dinner time and you're like, here we go again. You know what I mean? Like you're in the here we go again moment. What connects you to the okay, what are my values here thought? Like I'm having trouble
Yeah.
asking this question, but I'm just curious like how you get from point A to point B.
So in my mind, it's do I want my family to have a home cooked meal? Do I want my family to eat a nutritious type meal? Are dinners together important? Which is a little bit separate actually, because you could eat Taco Bell at a dinner table. Like it doesn't
Sure,
really matter.
totally. Totally.
Um, and a little bit separate, but this is always in my mind too, is this is a good way for me to make Emmy play by herself or help me so that she is learning time where I am unavailable. Because unless I
Mm.
am doing something vitally important, I mean, vitally important is
Yeah,
dramatic, but cooking,
sure.
for example, like you've got to do it.
Yeah.
I am with her. And
Hmm.
so that feels like a way to be like, okay, this is what I'm doing. And I am unavailable for a little bit, even though you can't ever fully
Oh,
be because there's bathroom breaks and things you need help with all the time. But
totally, totally. Okay,
so
that's
those are the kind
helpful.
of things that I'm thinking through. Yeah.
Are those the things that you're saying are important, right? So like a home cooked meal, dinner together, and space for Emmy to have an independent play. Like, do those
So
seem like the things that you are putting on the hierarchy? Like, and then we say, okay, if these are the things that are important, how do we do these things?
I think that's where it's actually tricky because I don't actually know. I know this is going to be a big deal. Like, I don't value a home cooked meal.
It's okay.
Okay.
You're allowed to value what you value. Listen, listeners everywhere. I'm looking at Anna and I'm telling her and you, your values are allowed to be yours. They don't have to be
Yeah,
mine.
they're
Like,
like, yeah, they're
hello.
allowed to be yours.
So I
There's no
think
shame
that's
in that,
what's
right?
so hard is I'm hearing like it's all the other voices,
Oh,
right?
mama, you got to set yourself free.
So that is where it is so tricky to determine, well, what are my values?
Yes.
And I'm not saying, do I think we should eat Taco Bell or frozen food every day? Of course not. And it's not something I inherently find important. My family
Totally.
did not do that growing up. We always ate
Totally.
together, but it was frozen meals. It was like, it wasn't the healthiest stuff. And like that was fine. We still got the family time, whatever.
Mhm.
It's just not something I had growing up, which probably informs why I feel this way
Sure.
now.
I feel like a value. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So, okay. So those are not your values. That's not your value. But okay. So let me just name that was a struggle because you were falsely putting that under something that you felt like you had to do. And so of course it felt horrible every day because I don't care about this, but I
Yes.
feel like I should. And so then you're fighting up against yourself because you're trying to do something you don't want to do every day. Or you don't
Exactly.
find important, you don't find, like there are other things you could do. Or does it mean you make one thing one time and then you freeze it and then you have it several times because, or do you, buy something out that will last several meals? Like, you can do
Yeah.
a bunch of different things. And then that also takes away the independent play piece. It doesn't mean that it's not your value, but it sounds like if you're getting something delivered or if you're sticking something from the freezer in the oven, like you're not really having to do the mom's hand. Look, both my hands are busy right now.
Yeah.
You can play with your this or you can play with your that. Like, oh, my hands are busy, I'll be done in 30 minutes or whatever it is, because then that might not be, maybe that's still a value of yours and you can do it in another time.
In a different way. Yeah. Absolutely.
Let me ask you, does it feel, I don't want to project, but I'm curious if okay, that maybe is a secondary question. Let me ask you this way. I'm just, if I'm like in your brain, was there ever a time where you were thinking like, all right, I'm doing dinners again and I don't love this. And maybe you weren't conscious of like where the messaging came from that you need to value XYZ thing. Was there ever a moment in your head where you went, or like there was a whisper of like, you don't have to do this. And like that you were like, oh, no, can't listen to that. Like, was there ever fear around letting go what you quote should be doing? Like, do you feel like you've been obligated to something, or was it just genuinely not on your radar to think about it in a different way?
Yeah, no, I definitely feel like it's just something I need to do and suck it up. And this is what people do. Like, I don't know the alternate that's not really expensive.
Sure.
And I like to not eat the same thing every day too. Like it's kind of that give and take. It's like, well, if you want to eat different things and you don't want to poison your family, here's kind of what you have to do.
Okay. So, there's takeout options, I'm sure, that are not poison.
I mean, golly, should we get Blue Apron to sponsor the podcast? So or whoever, whatever, meals.
Still to chop. It's a lot of.
I have no idea. Honestly, I've not. I know that sounds.
I have done though.
I don't know. I'm like,
and it does help the mental load. I'll tell you that because you only pick from 20 options or whatever, and you're like, well, I don't like 8 of them, so that is easy. So that at least helps the planning and even the prep, because you're not reading the recipe 37 times because you're like, well, the portion I need is right here. So that is actually something that I've done a lot that I could, and I didn't hate it as much in those seasons. So maybe and
I'm not trying to, I think I'm trying to do 2 things. One, I want to honor the very practical side of your brain that's like, I just thought I needed to do this because it made sense. It didn't cost $1,000, but I hated it. Okay. And at the same time, I'm not wanting to like over therapize this or over coach. So if it's like, no, you're kind of, it's like, what do the kids say? It ain't that deep. Like maybe it literally is just a matter of systems. And I'm like, but were your values feeling like you couldn't experience, you know what I mean? I don't want to try to get all whatever about it, but I am curious if, apart from the practical side, if there was a part of you that felt like you for some reason were going to be, I don't know, whatever word, bad, not within, like something, if you didn't do it the way you thought you quote should.
Yes. And that carries across so many things, which I think is why I have a hard time picking the values, because I'm like, there's so many voices, there's so many things that are important. How do I determine what are the, 5, 3, whatever it is to me? I don't know.
Well, I think Hannah was onto something earlier. You didn't say it explicitly, Hannah, but you perked up and you spoke into it. And I think it was like, yeah, that right there. You can tell what your values are by certainly identifying what they're not. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I don't love a home cooked meal. Got it. That's a value. Like, yeah, you know what? But what is a value within that is eating together at least 4 nights a week or whatever. Like you can, it's what I'm hearing you say, Anna, is that your brain loves the system, but to Hannah's point earlier, it might be helpful, and tell me if this resonates, if you had a North Star or some values against which to set the systems, like implement the systems.
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yes, 100%. Like,
Yeah.
maybe I have a system for this, but is it even important to me? Maybe I should drop that altogether and build systems around the things I care about, because maybe I am feeling so frantic because all of my systems are around things that I don't value, if that makes sense. So it's like I'm filling my day with things that maybe aren't actually that important to me, but that's just the system I'm in. Maybe I haven't thought about that a lot, but now that you're saying that, yeah.
Yeah. Because what is your, I mean, if we're just going to mealtime, because it feels right on, like, what is the system, or like, how do you approach mealtime now? Is it like 5 o'clock? Oh no, what are we going to eat tonight? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how does it normally go? Or is it like, I have a system, I'm just miserable chopping them?
Yes,
you know?
I have a system, and yes, the whole time. It's
Okay.
like, I mean, everything from today already, I'm looking at next week and I'm like, how many meals do I have to make? Okay, let me get on Pinterest and find the fastest, healthiest, easiest, like, okay, I found this one. Is it really 10 minutes or is it 45? Because it's always 45 for me.
Yeah, how
Like,
do people chop an onion and
Hello.
all their veggies? It's like 10-minute prep, and it's like,
Yeah.
I'm still cutting the onion.
literally, like, I barely peeled the onion and the garlic in 10 minutes.
That's
What
right.
are you talking
That's
about?
right. You can find me Wednesday of next week
Smashing the
still cutting.
garlic.
If I have to have a garlic skin on my finger one more time, I don't think there's anything more annoying in life as to be
know.
screaming
and then opening up
directly
the
in my ear.
trash, and then you have to open up the
I can't.
trash.
And then if
Yes.
they're on a cutting board, they blow everywhere. I
They
want to
fly.
lose my mind. I'll lose my mind.
It is, yes.
Get the garlic skins away. I can't freaking stand it.
That is so
I
funny, because
know.
then I'm like, growing up, like, we had, I mean, my parents, it was regular garlic too, but like also they would have like a, the jar of like
Yes.
garlic,
Same.
and sometimes I feel like I can't use that. Like, I'm like, well, it's not the same. But then
I
like
know.
cutting up
I
garlic
know.
is worse.
It's
So anyways,
the worst.
okay, so you look,
Yes.
well, one thing I'm like, oh, solution focus. I do have a friend, Julie Barnes, who just came out with this like meal plan, and she gives you the grocery shopping list, like, and you can, from HEB, you can like save certain shopping lists. So like, she's like week 1 shopping list for her meals for that week, and then like a week 2 shopping list for the things for that week.
That's
and
cool.
then like you just put it in. It's like, whoa.
Send me her information.
Okay. Yeah.
That is, yes, that is exactly.
Yeah. So then you're not going on Pinterest. Oh my gosh, you're going on Pinterest. And then it's like, oh, there's cilantro in this. I don't like this. Should I just like scrap the whole meal, or should I just not put it in? I feel like there's so much decision making if you're
exactly
coming up with new things
all the time. Even if I'm revisiting old recipes, it's like, did people actually eat that? Like, or people loved that, but it was really hard. Is it worth it? Is there a night where I can spend an hour and 45 minutes doing that? Yeah, like,
no,
you know.
I mean, the truth is, no, I'm sorry. I got it.
Like, silly thing is that, I mean, I have a lot of kids, so it uses up a lot of days of the week. But I just have, sometimes if I'm like, what are we going to eat this week? I'll ask everyone for their favorite meal. Like, what do you want to eat tonight? Like, Monday night, what's Penny's favorite meal? And then she's like, I want Greek chicken. And so I'm like, okay, we'll do Greek chicken on Monday. And then someone's like, well, I want tacos. I'm like, okay, we'll do tacos. Dave, what do you want? Like, what's a good meal that you like? So then it's like, okay, that's 4 meals, And
then someone's going to be happy. Yeah, that's because sometimes that's the thing too, is you're like, you put dinner out and everyone's like, ew, and you're like, yay, I'm so glad I spent 4 hours this week planning grocery shopping and cooking this for it to be thrown on the floor.
100%.
That is just splendid,
So it's almost like, what I'm hearing, Anna, is it's not that like, if I had more time, I'd really love cooking. It's like, I don't want to do it no matter what time I have. I'm good. I'd like to spend my time doing other things, in which case it might be beneficial. You're going to be like, Meredith, get right on out of here with that. I wonder if this is your second sign to take Becca Gonzalez's approach, look at the finances and go, what am I already spending in groceries? And this week, can I try out what it would look like to get some pre-made meals from Central Market or HEB or whatever other grocery stores? Boy, do I miss a Central Market meal made to go. Oh, baby, only in Texas.
So
anyway.
good.
So good. But like, can I do that? Or can I factor in literally a factor meal or Blue Apron or whatever, whatever other
Yeah.
services there are, like it, because if it takes up that much of your mental energy and it's already like, ugh, I hate this, it might be worth like looking to see if the finances shake out, how you can get yourself out of the bludgeon of cooking every night if it's something you genuinely hate and it's going to burn you out. And it's like those are sacred times. I mean, if you're valuing the
Yeah.
togetherness around that, but you're like, I'm coming to the table pissy because I've been chopping things that I didn't want to chop, I didn't want to
Yeah.
research it, that makes so much sense. Then the family time is like, well, cool, this is great. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly. No, that's so true. I know. I have been meaning to do the Becca Gonzalez thing. That, yes, I
I
need
mean,
both of these resources. Yeah.
you know what I mean? I'm like, I know that it's still using a part of your brain that's like, I gotta look at a spread, I gotta look at my finances, and I hate it. I hate it. But you might hate that a little less than chopping an onion for the 80th time in a week. Do you know what I'm saying?
Totally. Totally. Yes.
And then maybe that time back feels worth it, like, okay, maybe you're spending,
100%.
or you like, do it once a week. Okay, once a week, we're going to go out on this
Right.
day. Or I saw someone do something, it was like meal prep, but she went to Chipotle and she spent like $60 at Chipotle and she got like 5 lunches. Like she got, because she split up the rice, she got like a ton of rice, a ton of meat, a ton of the veggies
Oh my
and stuff like
gosh.
that.
That's
That's
amazing.
smart.
Lettuce, it was $58. And it was like, she was like meal prep. I was like, that's probably the same amount
That's
that you
literally though.
Exactly.
spend. I mean, it was like 4 lunches and like, or 5 lunches like for her week and then like other things. So maybe that's for lunches, I don't know if that like for
That's
you, but,
genius.
or
Yeah.
maybe there's a way to do something like that. For, maybe the Central Market or something like that. I know what's it, Trace Market. Do you know? That's
Yes. But
so
it's so,
good.
I mean, it's far
It's
from
so
me now, but I
far.
used to
I
love it.
know.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
then you could get like a tray,
I
that's
know.
frozen. That would be 2 dinners and it's like $30 maybe. You know what I mean? And that's 2 separate dinners, add a salad and you're good.
Honestly, I'd rather take a Sunday trip to Houston and make a thing out of it and
Yeah.
do that
Get
than
three
spend
dinners for the
like
weekend.
half of Sunday grocery shopping, meal prepping. Like
Mhm.
That is
that sounds
telling.
more fun to me.
If that is telling, and that
Yeah.
could be at least something to try out for a little bit because
Yeah.
life is too short and your work days are too long to be at the
Right.
end of them or bookending your days going, I hate prepping breakfast, I hate doing lunch, all right, the dinner, like girl, it's too short. So we got to figure out what
Right.
does work for you. And I don't know that you're going to walk away with 4 values from this podcast that Anna has found, right? But it's like, okay, well, we know what she hates doing. So let's stop doing that at the very least. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
what sounds better? And it could be that you're kind of rolling the dice a little bit like, yeah, you know what? Let me see if going into Houston, I'm going to try that for a month and see if that works on a Sunday. But you know what? No, that didn't. I'm going to move to the home meal delivery, whatever systems.
Yeah.
Cool. Like, but permission for you to stop doing things you hate.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very telling. So if we are thinking about, okay, so we've identified something that I thought ish was kind of out of my values. It's like I knew that it wasn't in my values, but I felt like it's just something you got to tough it out. You got to power through because that's what you do. So how do you go about finding the things that matter to you?
Mm.
Where to begin?
Where to begin? I guess the one question might be because I'm like, once something feels like, oh yeah, this is it. Like I feel like there is a
Mm,
moment where you're like, oh yeah, this is it, and so then you're like, oh, this is important to me. But I think the inverse would be like, where, just like meal planning, like you're miserable if you have to think of all these things. Like then you know that okay, togetherness around meals. If we're talking about togetherness around meals, is the most important, and that's a value of yours. You do want to spend time together, and also, I mean, togetherness with Emmy, not around meals, you know what I mean, like the
yeah,
other time too.
totally.
And so now you're getting 45 minutes. If you've got some sort of system that allows you not to cook dinner from scratch every night, that's 45, 30, extra minutes that you guys have together, and that's togetherness. So that is a value of
Yes.
yours, like quality time. If we're thinking in parenting, quality time seems like a value of yours.
100%. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. So maybe looking for sparks of joy. Like, when am I lit up? Is that a fair place to start? Maybe it's okay. Where do I notice that I'm excited or happy or fulfilled when I'm going through certain rhythms of the day or the week? And then try to figure out what it is about that. And then try to figure out how to do more of that.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely. I also am wondering about the space. The margin is a better way to ask it, which I know you don't have a lot of as a full-time working mom. So like, I want to honor that. Like, it's not like you're just wandering around your house like, what brings me joy? You know what I mean? Like, how awesome would that be? But it's like, I don't know. So I kind of wonder if in the same way, what I heard Hannah saying is like, sometimes it is, and I think this is true, easier to look at the inverse and go like, okay, well, that doesn't bring me joy. So how can let me at least pause for a second, and maybe I can't right now, but I can later in the morning time, at night, in the shower, when there's not anyone around me, and go, okay, what was that moment that I was like, I really hate this, but what's the inverse of that? Like, do a little thought exercise, like Hannah's saying, like, okay, what's the inverse of this? Like, what is the value here? Or what is my inner system communicating to me around this? I think one way that I have been thinking about it recently, and I haven't fully fleshed this out, so here we go. I think there's a difference between something zapping your time and something zapping your energy. And so, you know, famously, we all say, oh, we don't have time, we don't have time, we don't have time. And we probably do, a la Jennifer Seiss. You know, everyone go back and listen to that podcast episode. It was amazing. But we do lack energy. And it's because we're doing things that we are living out of alignment. We're burning ourselves out doing stuff we think we should do that we don't actually want to do. And I'm not saying that there aren't things in life where that's just the nature of it. And
for sure.
And I think that's a valid question to pause, whether it's, I'm not saying you have to sit down with the journal at 6 a.m. with your coffee and figure this out. You can, if that's your vibe, but maybe just perseverate in the shower, when you're alone, on a walk, whatever, on like, okay, what drains my energy in my day? And is there anything I can do to shift that? Even a little bit, like where am I getting frustrated that I could probably make some changes around? And for me, I thought about that recently. I was giving myself mental props, which I was like, look at me as a mom, actually like giving myself a little prop. And within an hour, I was like, okay, all right, I see where we get overwhelmed easily, right? Because I'm like, I am really good about letting Ethan explore. I'm like, you know, okay. And no sooner an hour later, he's made a mess of something. And I was like, okay, okay. So I get overwhelmed by messes. So I've got to do a little bit of regulation around that. Like, that's my work. I'm not saying that there's a system around it per se, or that it zaps my energy. It does a little bit. But either way, I sort of went inward and I was just observing myself. And that's just something else. If you're able to, if you have time and space and margin to just observe yourself over a few days, what zapped me, what made me lose my patience real quick, what continues to drain my energy, and are there any full up solutions or minor tweaks around that I can start to make?
Yeah. That's good. My grandma used to have a notebook, and she would have a red pen and a green pen, and she would do a tally mark for every time she felt extremely like angry or frustrated, and a green one for every time she felt really happy. Just because, I don't know, it just helped her look back. But I'm thinking now, if there's a way to kind of do that. So it's not a ton of brain space until you have it, but it's like, on this day, what was I doing? And why were there so many red, marks? And on this day, it was like all green. What was I doing? How can I do that again? So anyway, just another way.
Bring that around with her? Like, and then was it like also her journal, or just was like a daily?
It was at work. So like, it was back in the day, like back in the day, a lot of people still work in an office, but she worked in an office. And so she would have her little notebook next to her all the time, and she just kind of do it throughout the workday.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
That's very really cool. It's very disciplined.
And so mindful.
So mindful.
She's the best.
Yeah.
She's
I'm
amazing.
like, wow.
And you guys are wearing red and green.
I know.
We're
like,
Christmas.
We're basically like representing those things.
Oh yeah, St. Patrick's Day. Well, good.
That too. I don't know why I'm in red, but I am. So here we are.
I'm not wearing
what's today? Is today St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah. It is.
Today's the 17th. Is that
It's
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
Yep.
Wow. I don't ever look at a calendar, so beats me. I have no idea
I
what day
know.
it is.
You don't look at your phone. You
I
don't look
don't.
at
Yeah,
a
that's right.
calendar. You literally live under a rock for this podcast.
Literally, I know my standing appointments every week, and that's about it.
That's where you
Literally,
show up. Anything else?
literally missed my
Bye.
niece's birthday last week. I was like, oh my God, they want to FaceTime. And I was like, oh, today's your birthday, isn't it? Like, I just hadn't looked at a calendar. You could have been like, is it April or March? I'd like, gosh, I honestly couldn't tell you. So
It's Wednesday. I
know.
can tell you that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, it's
No, it's
Friday.
Tuesday.
No, I
I
know.
know,
I
but
know.
I'm saying this took place on a Friday. See, Hannah knows. She's like, no, I looked at my calendar. I know it's St. Patrick's Day. Thank you so much. I'll figure all that out when Ethan's back in school and I have to care, but I just don't right now. All that to say,
That is so funny.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but let me pause. What is helpful and what is not? What feels like it still could use a little bit of excavating or digging into?
Love that, Meredith.
I feel like all of the practical tips that y'all have given are super helpful. And I feel like I guess it's permission of, okay, if this does feel so ick and takes up this much brain space, let me find a solution. I think sometimes I can get to where if something's the way it is, I just accept it. And I don't sit and dig for, could it be
Question.
better? Right. Yes, exactly. I'm not a big questioner, which I know about myself, and it's something that I want to work on. And so this could be a great place to do that of, hey, you don't have to do that many things. Like there's not that many things that have to be done or have to be done a certain way. So permission to ponder and ask. So for me, since questioning and going up to the top of, up here is not normal, bouncing it off of friends is so helpful for me. So it's like, hey, do you hate dinner? What do you do? Or like, how do you feed your family every single day? You work in person. Like, how do you do it? Or whatever it is. Yeah, I love just asking friends about it because
you're home. Crock-pot.
I know that's true too. I just don't have any recipe.
All right. Yeah. It's the system. So yes, one thing maybe to add, I wrote this down as you were talking, because the question I want to ask is what maybe gets in the way of you trusting your own desire for a value or your own like trusting your gut to say like, or this is my value. I think I have some thoughts of like, knowing you, but before, kind of going back for a second is how can you just get curious? Like I think this will help you in like, when you have a thought of like, oh, I should be cooking dinner, or I should be telling Emmy no, or I should be like whatever it is, say, that's interesting. Where's that coming from? Right? Like get curious, like, where did I come up with that? Where did I hear about that? Whose voice is it that's telling me to cook dinner? Whose voice is it that's telling me that I need to say no to Emmy more often? Like who are these people? And maybe it's you, maybe it is. That's fine too. But how do I get curious? Because it's a non-judgmental way of finding out more information.
Yeah.
Because if we shut ourselves down and say, why are you like that? Why are you doing that? Why don't you just cook dinner, suck it up? Like everyone else does it. I saw Pinterest, saying like just chop the thing. Like then you're defensive and you're angry and you're red check mark. Like red check mark.
And I feel guilty. Because I'm like, why don't I like this? Why does everyone else good at this? I'm the worst. It's just like, it doesn't feel good.
Please don't
it feels
that way.
Exactly.
You're not going to turn Anna that way.
It's all red marks,
Right?
That is,
so
that is
like, get
good.
curious.
Yeah.
Where did I learn that? Oh, where did this come from? Or like, because you don't want to be judgmental of yourself, because then you're judging. And then we're in a cycle of negative.
Exactly. I know.
You just said something, Anna, that has me curious, and I very well could be projecting from other conversations, but I feel like I have these conversations with myself and other friends enough to just poke the bear a little bit here for a moment. Do you feel like, or does it resonate that sometimes you might be taking actions that you don't necessarily want to take in order to avoid feeling guilt?
All the time. Like I have learned that I've gotten better about this, but it's still in my nature. I'm still working through. I do more to avoid a negative feeling than I do to pursue a positive feeling.
Okay.
I am constantly thinking, how can I avoid a conflict, a pain, a hardship, instead of this is what I want to do, I'm going to go do it. That thought is hardly the first thought I have. It is always, how can we, even as like small as, okay, it's a Saturday with nothing going on. I know we're not going to survive in the house all day. How can we get through the next 3 hours? Even stuff like that. That's how I think through what I'm going to do each day, instead of like,
what would be the most fun?
oh, yeah, I'd be so excited to do this. We're going to do it. Exactly.
How interesting. That's a
negative.
Well, it's a really
Well,
wonderful thing to know about yourself. It's
good
clarifying.
thing to know about yourself, because now you get to reframe it and say like, okay,
Yeah.
the next, like we're having this conversation, and you're gonna, next time you have a Saturday, your first thought might be like, oh, how are we gonna get through the next 3 hours till lunchtime? And say, no, why would I just try to get through this? Like, why not? If possibilities are endless, like why not pick something fun, and maybe it's something fun you want to do, right? Like maybe you want to go to a farmer's market. Does that mean that it's like Emmy's most fun Saturday? Like maybe not. It might be her most fun. It might be a new tradition. It might be really fun. But it doesn't mean like, oh, let's go to Kids Empire, like that doesn't sound very fun to me.
And that is where my brain always goes. Like, that's why it's so funny to me. People are always like, you're so positive, Anna. And I'm like, oh,
like it's a mirage. Just kidding.
You're avoiding their uncomfortable feelings by being positive, so that they don't feel negative around you.
So many webs here to untangle.
Anna, what is your, not to be reductive, but I am curious, what is your Enneagram? Do you know?
2.
You're a 2, helper. Okay. Interesting. And so much so that it feels like, you got to default to put other voices above your own, other people's needs above your own, other people's comfort above your own. And so then you're the one who's begrudgingly might be strong, but you're like, I don't want to do whatever that kids thing is, or, in Houston or whatever. Yeah. Because does it feel just like a completely new operating system to stop and ask yourself what you want?
Oh, 1000%. And I think where I struggle is if I'm doing something for me, the guilt or like the ick, if I want to go read my book for 20 minutes and I'm like, hey, Philip, could you hang out with Emmy? I need a brain break. And I hear her screaming in the other room, wailing for me. That's not fun for me. Like if I actually choose to do something for myself, it feels often, and that's a more extreme example. You don't always have a kid screaming for you, but that's the feeling I have in my gut the whole time I'm doing something for me. So then I'm like, I'm just going to make it fun doing the things that other people want to do. And for me, it is more about who I'm around anyway. So I'm like, the thing could be whatever, but if I'm with people I like, it's great. So and so that, again, going back to like the initial, makes it really hard for me to figure out like what voice is mine. So I feel, again, just kind of like leaning on my emotions during things is helpful, just to, as you were saying, like excavate some of that. What are my values? I don't know. What do I even enjoy? Let's start there. Like what makes me happy?
100%. Yeah.
And that will help you. Yeah. What makes you happy? And like, what are you drawn to? I mean, that can help you figure out what do you enjoy? And then also what's important to you. Because I do think it does, when you are feeling like you're doing so many things for other people all the time, you can kind of confuse like their desires with your desires.
Yes.
And like your desires are important and they're not the same, which probably is why it feels so exhausting. I mean, if you're constantly just doing things for other people and things that other people want, you're depleted. Like you're running on empty.
Yes.
So as I'm thinking more generally for moms now, because that does sound a lot like being a mom. You are constantly doing things, not even if you're not a 2, whatever, if you're at any Enneagram, your job for this season is serving your kids or whatever, however you want to phrase that, raising your kids. And it is folding their laundry. It is cooking for them. It is teaching them potty. It's all of it, all the way up to it is teaching them how to be friends as they get older and how to handle losing. And it is about them. And so in a lot of ways. And so for moms in general, it's like, okay, how do we, and that's a lot of our other episodes, I guess, is how do we have a good mindset and how do we still hold on to who we are in the face of the season that we're in? That's the whole reason for the podcast, I guess.
Well, I just had this interesting thought, Anna, as you're asking that. It might be, I know this is going to sound potentially very cliche and like I'm a commercial for like on the Oprah network. We love Oprah. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I do think it's quite possible that you might, as a mom in this case, actually go on a journey of self-discovery, perhaps for the first time. Because I think sometimes the narrative is like, how do I get back to me and how do I whatever? Okay. But if you have never really, I'm just going to use clinical language for a second. If you haven't really ever figured out your defined sense of self, if you haven't individuated out of systems, whether they be your family system, religious systems, works, whatever the systems are in your life, and just, and I don't mean an individuated like renouncing. That's or
Yeah.
denounce. I don't mean like that. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's part of your process. But I just mean like in an individual, like, I don't know that I agree with that. Or, oh, yep, still, like I have reconciled some things, right? Like I am my own person. I have a strong sense of self. My preferences are clear. My likes and dislikes are clear. They don't have to be this big thing. I'm just secure in who I am. If you haven't ever really been given the opportunity or allowed yourself the opportunity to do that, this all might sound like, and new, and that's okay. So it might be that there is a new journey for you that's truly, to Hannah's point, I don't remember how you said it, Hannah, but essentially like info gathering, like, well, just learn myself. Like if I haven't really been given the opportunity, I don't even mean that in a victim way. I just mean like, interesting. I mean, if you're me, you grew up in a family, you had a lot of religious influence, you got married at the ripe old age of 22, so then you're in a new system, and then you're like, when did I ever stop to figure out what Meredith likes or who she is? You know what I'm saying? And so like, great, cool. Give yourself some permission. It doesn't have to be, it ain't that deep. It can be, but also just like give yourself permission to get curious. And that's it. And it honestly could be as simple as Priscilla Smith, another episode, shout out, the style episode. I think on our podcast, she talked about the movie My Best Friend's Wedding. Nope, not My Best Friend's Wedding. Runaway Bride, where Julia Roberts is figuring out the kind of eggs she likes. And she's only ever liked the kind of eggs that her previous boyfriends or fiance liked or whatever. And so isn't it Richard Gere that she was in that movie with? Is like, yeah, but what do you like? And she's like figuring out for the first time, like, oh, I like eggs, whatever way. Same thing. It doesn't have to be that deep, but it literally could be as simple as bringing your attention to like a very simple thing to say, what do I think about this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really great. And I think too, when it comes to motherhood and taking time for yourself, knowing that it's not necessarily going to be fun for the other people or I don't know, like a good time. I guess I'm just thinking like, and Dave and I deal with this all the time, but it's like, okay, when he goes out for a run, I'm with all the kids, and it would have been a time where like he would have normally been with us, but when I go out for a run, he's with all the kids, or I go to the gym at a time that's not everyone's in childcare or school or whatever. Like it's inconvenient. That's the word I was saying. It is going to be inconvenient for other people, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's life, right? Like we get to I see your you like stopped holding your breath. Stopped breathing for a second. But
what are those words?
Yeah, doing something for yourself could be inconvenient to someone else. It doesn't mean every single time it's going to be. Like sometimes Emily's gonna have a great time with her dad and it's gonna be really fun. But sometimes oh man, I really wanted to hang out with you. And it's like, okay, well, mom's gonna go to a coffee shop for an hour with her friend. Or it's like, oh, but I want you to play with me. Like, okay, we'll play with me, get back. Like, right. It's gonna be inconvenient. Maybe it's gonna be, upsetting to her for a minute. Maybe it's gonna be like, but it's okay. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. If other people are having a negative feeling about something, that doesn't mean that it's wrong.
Ooh, retweet, girl.
Right? Yeah. I mean, we can all be, or we can be inconvenienced, right? If Meredith is like, Scott, can you do the dishes tonight? And he's like, like not really, don't want to, but I'm going to do it. He can be grumbling while he does it.
Right.
He doesn't have to be like, yay, I love it so much, like. servant
so true.
husband for his wife. He just loved to give, you know. It's like it's allowed to be just like the disappointment. I just think the negative emotions of our kids, of our family, of our spouses, whatever. I think we're taught so much. I think part of it's our personalities. I think part of it's being females. We're taught so much that if anybody's uncomfortable, like it's your fault, basically. Like go.
And you
fix
have to
it.
overfunction.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and that's not how we were made to be. And people are allowed to have negative feelings and they can deal with it.
Yeah,
Oof.
it's not yours to manage constantly. And
So
there's a
good.
book that I was just talking about with a friend that I'm like, wait, this is going to be so good. So I'm going to drop the name here. I haven't read it yet, but apparently it's like an updated version of a book I've referenced on here. It's just been a long time, Extraordinary Relationships, which is older, but very good, but a little more clinical. Apparently this updated version is like just more fun to read. It's the same concept, but more fun to read. Is called True to You. So we're talking about getting back to a sense of self, defining that sense of self, all that jazz. And so I don't know, it could be Dr. Catherine, somebody wrote it, but True to You is the name of the book because I remember repeating it to my friend. True to You. Okay, I'm going to read it. So if you are a reader and that's like, you know what, that would be a next right step to just start a journey, go for it. I certainly am going
So
to
good.
reread. So anyway,
okay. Book club
I
book.
I was about to say, our book club's getting longer and longer, our
yeah,
list of
the
books.
book club. Yeah, exactly. So if it's in your truth to read, I will likely be reading it soon because I need to read Extraordinary Relationships every year, every 5 minutes. Sometimes it feels, but certainly, I like an updated version that's not maybe as clinical because it makes you turn on a
Yeah.
different part of your brain that you just don't always want to. But I do think it's important to ask yourself, and then I'll stop beating the horse. But at some point, the energy it takes for you to keep up the pretense that you're enjoying something or that you are like forcing yourself into doing something that you don't want to do, that takes a ton of energy, a ton of energy. And sometimes you may as well spend that energy getting curious or doing something new. Does that make sense? Looking at finances, see if you can
100%.
get Factor Meals instead or whatever company. Like it's like, well, this ain't working. So how can we shift the energy even slightly, the focus even to do something new and different? And oftentimes that's scary, doesn't mean it's not worth it.
So true. Yeah. I think from getting curious and just exploring how you feel doing certain things to what did you just say? Why did it escape my brain?
It's now escaped
Oh,
mine. I don't know. It's recorded. We can listen back if we need to. I have no idea.
Wow.
anyways, I do feel like I know y'all said this might not be 4 steps to figuring out your values, but it's not always that simple, right?
It's
It
not.
is more of a journey. And like, you always say, Hannah, it can change and it probably will change. And so you have to know yourself before you can figure out what those things are and then continue to refigure them out as you and
Yes.
your circumstances change. So I feel like that is exactly what I came here for. So I am
Well,
so grateful.
the final thought I have, and I don't mean to be the one with the final thought, but I have one last thought, and then whoever
Have
else
the
needs to
final
speak
thought.
before we is like, does the thing make you clench or does it make you exhale? Right?
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
feeling tense in your body and angry and tight around a certain thing, it's time to evaluate it. I don't mean let it go completely. Maybe that's the answer, but it's time to evaluate it. But if you're like, wait, let me just do a thought exercise with myself. What would happen if I didn't cook dinner? And your little internal spirit goes, then you're like, whoa, that's telling. So like for people who maybe are in the mode of like, just, I like a system, just tell me what to do, I will soldier on. Maybe you're soldiering on a little too much. And I would just ask you, are you willing to, A, get curious, like Hannah has said, or B, thought exercise with yourself. If you're like, I'm not going to sit and ask myself what I'm feeling, but like, do you clench or do you exhale when you give yourself another alternative? I don't know. Could be telling. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Anything else
So
that
good.
anything else that we want to unpack or
No,
say
I love
before
it.
we
I feel like that was so good.
So good.
Well, as always, dear listeners, dearest readers, if you've been watching Bridgerton, not me, thanks for being here and listening to the Get Mom Ready podcast. Again, you can listen anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can check out some resources that we have for you guys over on getmomready.com. That's articles. They're they're meant to be helpful. So check that out. Also, subscribe so that you don't miss episodes. You go to getmomready.com, hit the subscribe button. That way, you know when new episodes drop, when people release resources. Hannah's releasing one this week. It's going to be great. So it's all the good stuff is over on getmomready.com. And that's what we got.
And also, one more thought. If you enjoyed this episode, if you feel like you have things in your mind that you want to walk through, figure out your values, figure out the things that are draining you, that you are tired of dealing with, Hannah and Meredith are both open to coaching and so helpful today, you guys. Like seriously. And this was my free coaching. So if you want to be coached by Hannah or Meredith, you can find that over also on getmomready.com and go to book a coaching call and we can connect you with them. So thank you all so much for listening.
Adios. Bye-bye.
Bye.